their phone and showed me the news that Joe Biden had.
All right, you've been listening to J.D. Vance giving his first solo speech since becoming Donald Trump's running mate. 9 days.
Folks, you know it's bad when Fox News cuts away from your speech. You know you're bombing if you're Trump's running mate and Fox News cuts away from your speech. But that's how bad that it was. When J.D. Vance had to go out there and fly solo on a live microphone, he started bombing so bad. And I found this clip where someone just morphed together all the awkward moments so that we wouldn't have to sit through the entire painful speech. But folks, take a look at this. It's completely off the rails.
Now, where can I get a good fried bologna sandwich right now? All right, this is the guy who makes it. But I you know, I'll tell you another story. That's right. He probably does have an IQ of 210, but don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. So, I love you guys. But so I just
yeah, folks, it's just absolute cringe. I've said it before, I'll say it again. He looks like a guy who is funny around his buddies when he's drunk and thinks to himself, you know, I could be a stand-up comedian. I'm going to go try open mic at the comedy club. And then they go out there and they just absolutely bomb. And you realize they might be funny around their friends when they get to drinking, but they don't have the ability to be a comedian. That's exactly what that reminds me of. He is such a duck out of water now because he's not sitting there just being thrown softball questions and getting to say what he wants to say on TV. He's actually having to go out there and carry the ball, and he's dropping it miserably. Dropping it so bad that now Trump and his team are now thinking, dang, did we make the right choice? Should we be dropping him? I've already heard talks about that. So it's went completely off the rails for JD to the point that now Trump has tried to go out and sit down beside him. But what's so funny about this next clip is Trump couldn't let him off the hook about saying bad things about him before. Take a look.
Why did you pick J.D. Vance?
We've always had a good chemistry. And originally, J.D. was probably not for me, but he didn't know me. And then when we got to know each other, he liked me maybe more than anybody liked me, and he would stick up for me, and he'd fight for the worker as much as I fight for the worker. We just had an automatic chemistry.
Trust me, folks, Trump deep down has never forgave J.D. Vance for his comments about him. He's just tolerating him now because someone told him it would be a good move, and I think he's starting to realize it was a bad move. But this next clip deeply offends me because Donald Trump starts talking about JD's book, Hillbilly Elegy, and then says that he probably knows more about people in Appalachia than anybody. Take a look at this.
A book which was a classic, as you know, and it was all about the working men and women and how they aren't being treated fairly, and he was right about that, and I understood that maybe better than anyone else. And we just have had a great relationship.
First of all, J.D. Vance does not know anything about Appalachia, and second of all, Donald Trump sure as hell don't know anything about Appalachia. The only thing they figured out was how to con and grift people in my part of the world. They looked down and saw a demographic of people and said, we can tap into that by going down there and feeding them every conspiracy theory we can think of, by feeding them nothing but fear and propaganda, and by telling them that people are out to get them. That's what they did. They came down to my part of the world. They told people in my part of the world that gay people and trans people were the problem, immigrants were the problem, people of color were the problem. That's what they did. They got everybody in my part of the world worked up and voting against their own interest. They absolutely exploited my people. And that's why for Vance to come out and act like he's Appalachian is truly insulting to me. And then Trump to say, yeah, and I probably knew more about it than him. No, both of you were completely clueless. You don't know what a real Southerner is. You don't know what a real Appalachian is. So I'm going to show you one. This is Governor Andy Beshear just laying down the truth on J.D. Vance.
Governorship, and nobody gave me a job because of who my father was. I'm proud of that. Obviously a reference to your own father. What's your response to those comments from Senator Vance?
Well, what was weird was him joking about racism today and then talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew? But in all seriousness, he ain't from here. He is not from Kentucky. Listen, this is a guy who would come maybe in the summers for some period of time, or to weddings or funerals, and then he claims to be from Eastern Kentucky. tries to write a book about it to profit off our people, and then he calls us lazy. And this makes me angry, but it especially makes me angry about our people in Eastern Kentucky. Listen, these are the hardworking coal miners that powered the Industrial Revolution, that helped build the strongest middle class the world has ever seen, helped us win 2 world wars, and he called them lazy, acting like he understands our culture and he's one of us. He's not. This is a guy who went out to Silicon Valley that's trying to be an everyman. He ain't one of us.
And in a previous video, I talked about how that I would love to see Andy Beshear as Kamala Harris's running mate. I would love to see Andy as the vice president. Now, I totally understand the arguments for Josh Shapiro. I understand how important it would be to win Pennsylvania. We have such a good cast of characters to be the VP that I'm not going to be disappointed either way. But I'm going to make one more case for Andy Beshear. You know, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have stereotyped people in my part of the world, and they've made people scroll past people like me for a long time. One of the biggest comments I get, or one of the most comments I get, and messages I get from folks all the time, is that they used to scroll past my videos and wouldn't stop on them because they thought I was just going to be a redneck Trump supporter. They thought I was just going to be another angry white guy taking up for Trump. And they've apologized to me. I've had so many people say, we apologize because we judged you ahead of time. We thought you were just going to be another typical redneck. And the right wing for years has cashed in on all of our stereotypes, and they've exploited people in our part of the world to the point that they've gave people in our part of the world a really bad name. And so when we talk about blue dots in red states, you know, I think that Andy would be a great way to show the country that, you know what, not everybody down south are idiots. Not everybody down south buys into the Donald Trump, J.D. Vance rhetoric. They can see through it. They can call it out. You know, I'm not against any of the candidates that we have for VP, but the reason I would like to see Andy is because I would like to see someone on our behalf standing alongside the President of the United States saying, yeah, we're not like that. We're the real deal. They're not. That's one of the reasons why that I'm pulling for Andy, but I'm not going to argue either way. One thing I am going to be doing, though, is sitting here having fun at J.D. Vance's expense because, man, watching him crash and burn, it just reminds me of all the times playing in the dive bars. I keep count the times that I've had to have this conversation with people, and I know I'm going to sound like a little bit of a prick here, but so many people used to come out to my shows and be like, man, can I get up and sing one with you? Can I get up and do one? And sometimes people got up and absolutely knocked it out of the park, blew me off the stage. I was like, dang, man, you want me to just go ahead and pay you? I'll just set this one out. Sometimes it really worked out good. But 9 times out of 10, someone got up there, they could sing karaoke in their basement, and they tried to be a front man, and they just cleared the room. I have saw the dance floor just completely just go away. I've saw people walk out the door because I made the mistake of letting someone get the microphone. And that's what this reminds me of with J.D. Vance. It's like Trump handed the microphone over to some bad karaoke singer and killed the crowd. I've had it happen. I've done it. I've sat back and went, oh man, I just killed the crowd. And I really feel like that's what Trump has done when he handed the microphone to that fake Appalachian. I am enjoying watching this guy just crash and burn.